So today I wanted to talk about a lift that Michael Todd did. Now, Michael did this lift, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. It might even be longer than that. So this isn't a new lift or it isn't a recent lift, but I just found this to be extremely impressive. I think that this is maybe the best version of this lift that I've seen, the one that probably is the very most difficult, all things considered. And it also is, as far as I'm aware, a world record. I think Levon ended up doing 85 kilo or somewhere in that range. So I think that Michael has done about 4 or 5 pounds more than Levon did. And I would say in some ways his form is actually better. Now, getting into this right off the bat, the biggest issue with this lift, I think the biggest issue people have with it is how open Michael's arm angle is. So as far as this 90-degree angle-ish right about here, Michael goes ahead and he opens his arm up and he gets to a really open top roll angle. So this is nowhere near 190. I think it's somewhere in the middle of 90 and then 180, excuse me. So maybe like 135-degree angle. So this isn't completely ideal if you're a traditional top roller. However, for Michael Todd, I think that this is a really good angle to have. I think that this is totally usable for him. And this is probably where he spends most of the time in his matches. Even off the go, he gets really open really quick. So I don't think Michael necessarily needs to have this angle super strong, but having this angle really strong is super beneficial. Now, if he was literally just at a 180-degree angle, just totally flat, then he'd just be training his King's move, and I think that could be useful too, but then he's giving people a lot more of a window to climb up and over the top of him. This pressure right here, where he actually lifts the weight, I think he can use this angle in the center of the table. I think he can rise with this angle in the center of the table. So what this means is that Michael has 190 pounds of a combination of back pressure and pronation, a twisting back pressure essentially, and he doesn't have the strap super low in his forearm. The most impressive thing I think about this lift is that his forearm is perfect. The actual angle in terms of his forearm being parallel to the ground is perfect. A lot of people are doing this lift with their forearm at like a 45-degree angle or something. And it's not that that has no translation, but this is significantly more difficult to have your forearm at a parallel angle in relation to the ground. It's way more difficult on your elbow flexor and on your pronation. And if anything, Michael might even have a slightly less than parallel forearm angle, and then he lifts through that parallel range of motion. So to me, as far as the forearm angle, this lift is perfect. And he did 190 pounds. So this is a world record with a perfect forearm angle. And I think this forearm angle is significantly better than Levon's. So, and I'm not saying that Levon can't do more than this. Levon probably could do more than this if he really wanted to, and especially if he was training this lift, because Michael's been training this lift now consistently. But the point of all this is to say that potentially Michael has the very strongest pronation and back pressure out of anyone in the sport, maybe except Levon. But even with Levon, when he was doing this lift, his forearm angle was more steep than this. So I don't know, and it looks like Michael has more in the tank even than this. He lifts the weight, and then he sits there and holds it for a second. It looks like he can probably do even more. I don't know if that's 195 or 200 or whatever that is, but I think at least he's probably at a similar level to Levon on this lift, assuming he is able to use that open top roll angle. And Michael, I think around a year ago, he failed like 150 pounds on this lift. And 150 is really good. But he failed 150, maybe even 140 not too long ago. So it's not just that, well, Michael has always had this weird King's move strength, and this lift is just a King's move lift. He was failing like 140, 150 not too long ago. So Michael has made huge progress on this lift, 25, 30% increase on this lift. So we're going to see Michael going up against Gennady Kvikvinya pretty soon here. And if he does end up doing really well there, which I have a feeling he probably will, I would really like to see Michael go up against someone who's going to test that pronation, someone who likes to hold on a little bit more, someone who likes to bend their wrist, potentially someone like Georgi Tsvetkov. I know that Michael may end up having a match with Hermes. I think that could be super interesting as well. Although Hermes has a more of an ability to climb up and over the top. So I could see Hermes defeating Michael more through a technical lane rather than just a strength lane. But what I would really like to see at some points is I do still want to see Michael pull Levon at some point. I know that that's maybe a little bit of a meme match, and a lot of people are going to say he's just going to kill him, but I don't think that's even necessarily the point of who wins. I would just like to see it. I just think it would be super interesting. And if not Michael, then probably the second best option is either Hermes or Devin. And we've already seen both of those guys pull him. We've seen Devin pull Levon twice at this point. And Michael has something that Devin doesn't. Michael has something that Hermes doesn't. He has this weird, just insanely strong pronation and back pressure. And considering that he's lifting 190 with, I think, his musculature, imagine him going into the full-blown King's move. He probably can lift 200 plus, maybe 250. Who knows? And so I don't think that Levon is going to have the ability to just cup that in. And even if he tries to go up and over the top of that, I think he's going to struggle. And Michael has shown also when Kamil Jablonski tried to flop press him, Kamil couldn't even flop press through Michael's King's move. He looked somewhat comfortable in that match, even when Kamil was just putting all of his pressure straight down onto Michael's arm. Kamil was unable to get through that. So I don't know that Levon could flop press Michael. And if Devin was able to crack Levon's wrist back, doing significantly less weight on this lift, I know that it doesn't translate exactly. Devin has a better setup. He has longer arms. There's a lot of things that go into it. But I would be really, really interested if Michael has this test. He ends up doing well with Gennady, potentially well with Hermes. I would love to see Michael go up against Levon just to see that kind of wild card factor with this King's move, because we still haven't seen Levon go up against someone who has a really sticky kind of crazy George-style King's move. He did defeat Devin, but Devin's King's move is much less of a joint structure King's move that's kind of a natural thing, but more so something that he's developed, whereas Michael's arm literally just doesn't straighten. And so I think he has much more stopping power, much more ability to defend against the flop press and to attack people's cup than Devin does. Devin probably has a better ability to go up and over the top of people, and he's obviously more well-rounded, but I think that Michael's stopping power is better. So let me know what you guys think about this, but I am super, super impressed with this 190, and I do think this is the cleanest lift I have ever seen, regardless of the weight. Any of the top lifts, I think this one looks better to me. Not because of how open Michael's arm is, but the angle that really matters to me is the forearm angle, and I think this is perfectly at parallel or even slightly below parallel. So the fact that he's able to lift 190 at this angle is super impressive. At Devin or Levon's angle, Michael probably could already lift over 200 pounds. So I would love to see Michael get tested against someone who's going to attack this lane, whether that's Levon, Hermes, Georgi Tsvetkov, maybe even Artem Morozov. I would love to see all these matches, but let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know how impressive you think this lift is.